Welcome to part 1.5 of the Black Seas multi-part series. In part 1, I showed you how to put together resin and metal ships. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to build plastic ones. And for this, I'm going to be using the Frigates and Brigs flotilla. Of course, you can use the basic set as well, but I'm using this one. I'm just going to go through a quick unboxing. You have the ship cards, the wake markers, and also the damage counters, some rat lines, and two different types of sails, light and dark, and then all the different flags for the 4 major nations. You also get 1 bobbin of thread for rigging. You will also get this instruction booklet that will help you put the ships together, and then you get 2 sprues of frigates right here, and also 2 sprues of brigs. To put these ships together, you'll need a few things: a good pair of hobby clippers, a hobby knife or a box cutter, and some plastic glue. First thing you want to do is use your snippers and just snip off the parts that you need. The sprue should have 2 brigs. Snip off 1 set of hulls and also a set of masts, which are 2 of them. And then remove the gaff and the boom over here, which are 2 different sizes. And then finally the bowsprit right here. Next, use your hobby knife, make sure it's nice and sharp, and then carefully remove any of the leftover sprue residue on all your parts. To put together these plastic parts, if you have not put together plastic models before, you'll just want to use plastic glue. What plastic glue does is it actually melts the plastic, and then when you press the plastic pieces together, it causes a permanent weld. It is very strong once it sets, and it's my recommended way of putting these parts on. Once the hull is done, you'll want to put on the bowsprit. This is the front and the down direction for the bowsprit, and it goes in like this into the hull. Place some plastic glue in this area and then slide the bowsprit on like this. After it goes on, you want to look at it from the front and slowly finagle it to make sure that it's even. Now onto the mast. The foremast is actually shorter than the main mast, so make sure you note the size. Put some super glue into the hole, and then this is the forward direction of the foremast. You can also tell it by these furled sails over here. They belong in the front. Insert it into the hole and then position it in place so it stands nice and upright like this. Continue on with the main mast, putting some plastic glue in this rear hole, and again note where the front of the mast is. And also in the back there are these protrusions. They want to face the back of the ship, and you'll see why in a little bit. Place the mast in place and then make sure you eyeball it so it's nice and even, standing upright. Then apply some plastic glue onto these 2 features in the back, and then note the different sizes. The longer one goes on the bottom, the shorter one goes on top. The one at the bottom is called the spanker boom, and you're going to be applying it to this area. You might have to use a little bit of force to get it in place. You'll want it to be somewhere around that angle, and then you'll put on the gaff afterwards, and it wants to be on a slightly upward angle like that. Now make sure that your masts are nice and straight from the side angle as well as the front, and this is another shot of how the boom and the gaff need to look. A lot of the pointers that I gave you in the brigs also apply to frigates. Now the frigates come with 1 frigate per sprue, so when you take everything off, it is only really for 1 frigate, so you don't have to worry about cutting off multiples of the same thing. Now these figureheads in the front, there are 3 choices. You can choose one. I chose this one. And then for the back, you'll want to choose one of these as well. There's 3 choices. And then there's also some lifeboats. You can choose to put as many or as few as you want. I recommend 2 to 3 of them. You can take out up to 4 anchors, but I recommend just taking out 2. Just like the brigs, you'll want to use a sharp modeling knife and then just remove the sprue residue from each of the parts. A sharp knife imparts less force onto the models and won't deform them, so I definitely recommend something sharp. Just like the plastic brigs, you'll want to use plastic glue for this frigate, and you'll want to apply the glue for the hull in the front and also in the back. There's actually a nice wide open area in the middle that doesn't have any material, and when you put these together, you want to be pretty careful. Before the glue dries, you want to make sure that they're aligned in the back like this, finagle them in place, and then do the same thing for the front. Make sure that everything lines up. And then after that, you can work on putting the floorboards in the middle by applying glue here on these surfaces. And then after that, you would put the floorboard in place, being careful not to split the hull apart. Just be gentle with it. And then once it sets a little bit, you should be ready to put on the back of the ship right here, the stern part. Apply plastic glue in this area, and then after that you'll be putting on this piece at the back. This is the one that has the 3 choices. I chose this one. Really, there's no wrong way. You can use it to make your ships look a little bit different. Same thing with the figurehead in the front. You want to put glue in all these areas. They all go on the same, and then after that just kind of push the figurehead in place, let it set, and you are now all set with the hull. The bowsprit in the front goes on very similarly to the brig. This is the front and this is the down. You'll put glue in this area, and then after that put the bowsprit in place. This one doesn't have anything to slot through, so it may move a little bit more. Make sure it's square. Now in this area is where the lifeboats go on to, so go ahead and put glue in these little stanchions right here. Pick a big lifeboat, put it here, and then to the side of it you can put a smaller one or a big one. You can put 2 boats, 1 boat, 3 boats, 4 boats. There's a lot of different options, and you can do that just to make the ships look different between each other. Now for the mast, the first mast is the foremast, and it's actually a little bit shorter. And again, you want to know where the front is. This is the front of the mast. Put some plastic glue in this first hole, and then put the foremast in place. Now these snap into place very positively, and it's got a little bit of a setting fixture in it. So once you push the mast in, it will be properly positioned. And for the very last one in the back, the mizzen mast, remember that the 2 features for the spanker sails want to face the back, so make sure those features point to the back right here. And then these are the gaff and the boom, and you go on to these areas here. First of all, the boom goes in the bottom, very similar to the brig. You'll put it in, position it so it's almost horizontal, and then the gaff you'll put in this position. It has a little bit more of a diagonal angle, and once it's done, this is how it looks. In the front you can put anchors here in front of the cat heads. You'll put some plastic glue in this area here, and then just carefully put the anchor like this, and it will set in place. Do the same thing for the opposite side, and you are done with your frigate. The next step is just like part 1. You can magnetize these ships so it's easier for transportation. You'll want to drill a hole using an 11 by 64 inch bit. Use a power tool and then just kind of drill a hole 1 millimeter deep, and you'll use a 1 by 4 millimeter round magnet. Use super glue, this time not plastic glue, and then place the magnet in place. Super glue is the only thing that really works with these steel magnets. Now at the bottom of the frigate there's a nice convenient open area that you can use a 10 by 2 or 10 by 3 millimeter magnet, and then just place it in this area with some super glue, and you are all set. What this allows you to do is to put your ships in containers with steel bottoms like this, and I will show you how to make these containers in the upper right hand corner. Now you can move them all over the place without these moving around, which is great, and you can also store them this way. Here are some rotating views of the brig as well as the frigate fully built up, so you can see where all the details go. Follow me in my next video and I will show you how to paint these Black Seas ships up.